just rock and roll. It's Holy Joe rock and roll. You're listening to the Holy Joe Rock and Roll Show. It's not just rock and roll. It's Holy Joe rock and roll. You're listening to the Holy Joe Rock and Roll Show. It's not just rock and roll.
Everybody, good morning, good morning. It is 6:52 in the morning, Central European Time. I'm your host, Holy Joe Rock and Roll, testing out the new of the newest of the coolest systems, man. Check that out. I can put anything up on screen. And today, well, right now, I want to talk to you about what's been happening, what's been breaking. And the biggest thing, I think, in my opinion, is this whole DACA conference. The only question I have, is, has Trump lost his mind? Because throughout the whole campaign, he talked about these illegals. Some of them are good people, but they got to go home and reapply to come back. Okay? And that was it is the biggest single issue why people voted for Trump, in my opinion. Build the wall, enforce immigration law, send people home that are in the country illegally. Doesn't matter if they were brought there by their illegal parents as children, they're still in the country illegally. When a bank robber robs a bank, his kids don't get to keep the loot. It goes back, right? It gets confiscated. By the same token, if you came into the country illegally because your parents were too stupid to apply, or were already outlaws by violating the law, you gotta go back. Now, having said that, I did a 12-point, I don't know what it was, video years ago on how we might address this issue, on a point system. And that was just a proposal, right? That was just a proposal where, certain things would have to be, you get points for certain things, right? Obviously, if you were a felon, it was like a -5 or -10 or whatever, which would automatically kick you out, automatically disqualify you. That kind of stuff. But if you, spoke English, didn't commit any crimes, by all intents and purposes, you were a quote-unquote good person, whatever. Those were certain characteristics that you might be allowed to remain in the country legally. That doesn't give you a pathway to citizenship, but it would allow you to remain in the country as, let's call it, a legal resident. Okay? Not even a green card status, but just call it a legal resident, that you'd be allowed to stay and work and go to school, right? That was my proposal initially. But the whole DACA thing, deferred action against child aliens, whatever it is, there's a lot of people in the program that, we're seeing reports every day practically of a DACA recipient who, one guy chopped his mom's head off, DUIs, killing people in car crashes, stuff like that. So they're not all angels, and of the approximately 800,000 that have applied for DACA, only less than what is it, 800,000. So less than 1% actually have served in the U.S. Armed Forces. Less than 1%. Okay, so it's not a big number. And there's these anecdotal stories about so-and-so who was a DACA recipient that's a doctor or an EMT, saving lives, being part of the community. Well, those high-skilled people, yeah, you would probably, that's what I'm saying, they have to be vetted. There should be no blanket amnesty for these people. Even if you don't want to call it amnesty, it is essentially amnesty, right? Because people are benefiting from breaking the law. And then what happens next? What about their parents that are in the country illegally? These are the children of illegals who are also illegal. What happens to the parents? Do the parents get... it's so twisted. It has to stop. We have to enforce the law. The laws that have been on the books forever, practically, are like what every other sovereign country has. If you come to the country illegally, the country has the right and the obligation to deport your ass. Okay? Because you're in the country illegally. Simply, if you want to come to the United States, come legally. And this doesn't apply only to Hispanics or Latin American people. Okay, I know other peoples, Chinese people, Polish people, Russian people, who were in the country illegally because they overstayed mostly because they overstayed their visa. They came in legally, but then they overstayed their visa, and they were basically in a trap situation because you violated the law. Unless you get married, and even then, you may have to return to your country and come back on a fiancé visa. It's bizarre, but those are the rules. Those are the rules. So you just have to follow the rules, man. But now the phase 2 of this video is this whole 25th Amendment idea where these people infected with Trump derangement syndrome are talking about invoking the 25th Amendment, which basically says that the president can be removed from office if they are mentally incompetent. And this is the result of FDR, who was in office. He won 4 elections, four presidential elections, and he died in office in the beginning of his 4th term. And after that, the 25th Amendment also is the term limits for president, limiting them to only 2 terms, because this guy became like a dictator, essentially. And come on, he was elected president 4 times. It was just crazy. So part of that was limiting the presidents to 2 terms, but also providing for a way to get rid of the president. Now, it requires that the vice president agree, and also the majority of the cabinet, and I think it's over 50% of both houses of Congress. Oh, it's 7 o'clock Central European time, people. Wake up. Good morning. So they're talking about evoking this because they're saying that the president is crazy. Okay, now, he's not crazy so far. Okay, he's actually been performing MAGA. Hang on. Is this the... Hang on a second here. I can't see what that says. Oh, I want to be here. Yeah, here we go. He's been performing MAGA.
I'm not tired of winning, my friends. Let's make America great again. I'm not tired of winning, my friends. Let's make America great again.
That's just the ringtone. It's available at holyjoe.bandcamp.com. Check it out. Make America Great Again, Not Tired of Winning, or MAGA, Not Tired of Winning. He's been MAGA. He's been MAGA-ing, okay? And that's a good thing. But I truly believe there's two ways to think about this, but let's continue the thought. I truly believe that if President Trump, votes for DACA, well, first of all, it's something that would have to come out of a Republican Congress, which I don't see it happening because of the midterms coming up in 2018. This year, November 2018, there's midterm elections. I can't see how Republicans, can actually vote for DACA, even if you get the wall, end to chain migration, and the end of the lottery system. I don't see how you can get a blanket DACA and that you won't get kicked out of office. But if you get kicked out of office, well, here's what I'm saying. I almost would think that this doesn't make any sense, actually. So I admit that, because the Republicans would have to, they're the majority right now, they would have to actually submit a DACA bill or an immigration bill which included DACA, either whatever, something about DACA, and the president would sign it. But then at that point, would the right wing be calling for the 25th Amendment to be invoked, saying that Donald Trump is insane because throughout the whole campaign, he campaigned against DACA. You see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? So that would be actually crazy for Trump to approve any kind of a blanket DACA. Now, if there was, look, you know, the lies being spun by the media just don't make any sense. Think about this. Let's say you were brought to the country from Mexico, just as a hypothetical. You're 3 years old. Your parents are Mexican. Obviously, they speak Spanish or whatever ching chong chong language they speak. Okay? You're living with your parents. You're being raised as an illegal alien in the United States. You're going to school for free. So as a child, you're speaking Spanish in the house. You're speaking English in the school. Let's just be honest. So how the hell do you not know Spanish? You may not know Mexico because you've never been there, because to go there, you could probably get there, but you couldn't come back because you're illegal, right? So that's why you're staying in the country. And this whole concept about they don't know their own country, they don't know their own language. It's just, first of all, who the hell cares? It's not my problem that your parents broke the law. But number two, the whole family should be deported. Just all of you go back. Make Mexico great again. Why not? Okay? You know, the Western Christian civilizations have created a blueprint on what you can do, what you need to do to have a great country. It's not copyright. It's not copywritten. Anybody can copy this. Okay? And when you do copy it, for the most part, those countries that do copy it have great results. We've seen it over and over again. I remember when the wall fell down, communism fell down, right? And what was known as Eastern Europe, Central and Eastern Europe, that was under communist control, started implementing basically Western democracy, economic strategies, whatnot. Now, they haven't been perfect, but for the most part, you saw how they went from this totalitarian, top-down, 5-year plan, bogus system to a more liberal in the classic sense, meaning freedom, capitalistic, open markets, or whatever. Freedom to do what you wanted to do, all right? And you saw how they just grew and developed in a very positive way. We saw the same thing in Asia, whereas various Asian countries, Singapore being an example, even Malaysia, Thailand to a certain extent, started adopting these more market-friendly, less totalitarian, less dictatorship-ish type programs or policies, and the societies grew, the economies grew, people had more freedom. You know, that's a blueprint. It's just a blueprint of what to do, and you can see that generally high IQ cultures or societies are adopting this type of philosophy or strategy or culture, right? There's still the underlying culture in Asia of the various Asian countries or whatever country you're in, but this new economic philosophy, if you want to call it that, when you bring that in, and it's no secret, it's not a secret, right? You see, it's open market, free markets, capitalism, liberty to do what you want to do, for the most part, right? That makes these countries successful. So why can't Mexico do this? Why can't Latin America do this? Why can't African countries do that? Now, there is been a lot of studies on this showing that there are obviously that there are. You believe in science, right? That there are genetic differences between the races, and that there are, on average, IQ differences. There's obviously the bell curve, so there's smart people in every race, but that the majority of certain countries outside of the West, they have lower IQs, and that you need at least a minimum of like 85 IQ in order to have democracy. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And they said that these countries in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa especially, IQs are around 75 are average, on average, right? Latin America, it's maybe like 80, 85. For the Mesito peoples, right? The mixed people, the native-ish people. The sort of Spanish and Italians and Germans that move down there, obviously they have a higher IQ because they're probably around 100, which is most of Europe. And East Asian, so Japanese, Chinese, not all Chinese, okay? They supposedly have, on average, an IQ of about 105, okay? Some have claimed that the Ashkenazi Jews, these white Jews from Europe, they're also in the higher IQ range, like 110-ish. But I know a lot of white Jews that are effing stupid. So it's a bell curve, right? Not all of them are smart. Not all of them are stupid, okay? And that applies for all races, okay? But these peoples, that's what the problem is with Mexico. There's too many stupid people there, and that's why it hasn't worked. But what I'm saying is, if these kids, these DACA kids, are supposed to be so great, so amazing, they've been raised in the U.S. None of them are kids anymore. They're all adults, okay? For the most part, the majority of them are adults or teenagers. They're not small kids anymore. If they're so smart and they're so well educated because they've been educated in American schools, send their asses back. Let them improve Mexico. Seriously, let them improve Mexico for the next generation, so that that country will be a lot better off for everybody. So, those are my two takes, man. Is that Trump is not crazy. So anybody talking about the 25th Amendment on the left, it's not going to happen because, first of all, the vice president is not going to vote for it. Second of all, since we have majority Republicans in the House and the Senate, you're not going to get a majority voting for that. So that's just this is moot point. The second thing is, if Trump does vote for DACA, there could be an upswell of invoking the 25th Amendment, saying that because he voted for DACA or signed a bill for DACA, he must be crazy, right? You see what I'm saying? It's kind of a joke, but you see that happening. And the third thing, this is my third thing. It's only 18 minutes into this. It's 7:10 a.m. Central European Time. The third thing is, think about this from a 3D chess, 4D chess, whatever you want to say, 6D chess, Trump art of the deal strategy. Okay, because Obama signed an executive order for DACA, which Obama, said was a temporary fix, okay, to provide temporary relief for these children, so-called children, okay. But what it really did was build a database of illegal people, okay. Think about that. After all, it is a government program in a surveillance state. So Trump says, okay, we're canceling DACA program, okay, and we're not issuing any more DACA visas or whatever DACA deferrals. Kicks it back to Congress, saying we need to come up with a deal. Now Trump's pitch is the deal has to include the wall, an end to chain migration, and an end to the lottery, the visa lottery program. Now, if the Democrats, and there's been papers released by the Democrats saying that they want to legalize all of the DACAs because they know that probably 80%, 90% of them will vote Democrat. And this will start flipping states. with a high level of illegal immigrants in them. Okay, flipping states to the left, as we saw happen in California, which was a reliably conservative state and has turned left-wing, turned Democrat, mainly because of the illegals that were legalized under Reagan. Okay, so that would be a bad thing. It would destroy the country. The country would become like Mexico, third world banana republic, in a couple of generations. You could see that's what would happen. It's just what would happen. Of course, there's a lot of smart, hardworking Mexicans that would help the economy go, but that's short term. Then what happens later on? Okay, what happens later on? I don't see that being a good thing. I don't see that being a positive for the country. And Mexico has in its constitution, the constitutional in their constitution, that Mexico will always be ethnically Mexican. And so why is it that the United States has to not be ethnically white European and Christian? We as Americans, as quote-unquote white people, should be able to say that, express that. Every other country can express that. Okay? The good thing is that in Europe, some countries like Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia are saying that. They're saying that they are white Christian nations and they want to stay that way. And the problem is a little bit different. In Europe, of course, it's the Muslim migration or invasion that they're trying to fight against. And they're so far have been successful. But I digress, that's another topic. So the third thing is, think about the 4D chess move. Let's say the Democrats, they really want DACA. They're refusing to support building the wall or enhancing security or ending these other programs. Then there's no deal. There's no deal, and Trump has already ended Obama's executive order on DACA. So then these DACA people will start being deported along with their whole families. That's probably what's going to happen. So that is really how I see it. You know, when you saw the press conference, when you saw the Trump talking about he'll sign any bill they give you, I'm not saying it's Machiavellian, but I have to believe he's playing to the cameras. Okay? I have to believe he's playing to the cameras because he can't just sign anything they give him. It's got to be a good bill, as you know, in line with what he promised the American people. It's got to be, otherwise not only will he be a OTP, one-term president, but it'll just be terrible for the country, and he may get impeached because of that. People saying that he must be insane. The 25th Amendment will be kicking in because he must be insane for voting for something that crazy. Okay? Listen, folks, have a great Thursday. Have a great Thursday. It's early. I've been up. I actually woke up at like 2:20 in the morning, and been doing various things, tweaking this thing here, and that's why I'm up. So I'm gonna get a couple hours of sleep, and reminding you to always make it happen for the captain, because you're the captain. And listen, holyjoe.bandcamp.com. Check it out to be able to get the music. My last two albums are up there. New Genesis, which has 7 pro-Trump theme songs on there. There's 14 songs altogether. And the latest CD, which is called Smoke and Mirrors, has 7 tunes, including the Make America Great Again theme song, Not Tired of Winning. Alright? So, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, as I said before. Make it happen for the captain, because you're the captain.
Tired of winning, my friends. Let's make America great again. I'm not tired of winning, my friends. Let's make America great again. I'm not tired of winning, my friends. Let's make America great again. I'm not tired of winning, my friends. Let's make America great Let's make America great again. I'm not tired of winning, my friends. Did I forget to mention destroying ISIS, the stock market and consumer confidence at all record highs? Hollywood, media, and politicians all exposed as hypocrites and sexual harassers? The globalists are on the run. We are winning. We are making America great again. Let's make America great again. I'm not